Hi everyone, this is Dan Hawkins again, Academic Technology Librarian at the Daniel Library at the Citadel. In this video, I'm just going to walk you through how to actually find articles using our website. Remember, research is not just finding 5 articles that mention your topic. It's the process of reading as widely as you can in the time that you have in the literature, and based on what you find, making your argument from that. With that being said, I want to show you how to actually search for articles here. So we're going to use what's called the Discovery tool, and that is a search that searches across all the databases we have. We have many databases provided by several different things, so several different companies, and what this does is it just basically will search all of those and try to return things that we have. So I'm going to start out by searching for vaccines. Let's say that we're doing a paper on the ethics of vaccination. So I'm just going to start with a basic search for vaccines. One thing I'm going to point out to you is that when you start out, it's going to give you a Hello Guest login for full access. Now, this is asking you to authenticate to prove that you are a Citadel student. When you click on login for full access, it's going to ask you to enter your CWID, which is your the number that's on your Citadel ID, and your last name. I'm going to pause this, enter mine, and we can proceed from there. Now, once you've authenticated, you should have access to anything that we actually have access to. So there's several different ways you can narrow down your topic. So obviously, if we're looking at the ethics of vaccines isn't going to get us completely there. You can see we have over 3 million results here. So we're going to start narrowing it down. First, if there is a journal that actually has the exact title that you were searching for, it'll pop up here. So if this might be a good resource to look in if you wanted to. I'm going to go around that a little bit today. The first thing I usually do is make sure that either Full Text Online here or the default Full Text Online in Library Catalog is checked out. What that does is we'll make sure that any of the results you get back, we actually have access to them, because you don't want you try to do this ahead of time, but you do want to make sure that you're not looking in your initial search for things that aren't that we don't have access to. Now, if you have a hard time finding enough in the stuff that we have, you can use Interlibrary Loan or Pascal, like I showed you in the last video. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to click on scholarly peer-reviewed journals. Now, we talked about peer review in a previous video, and that just makes sure that it's gone through the process of having other experts look at the thing as well. And so if you click this, you can be certain that anything that comes up is going to have gone through that process, which is a great way to do some of that evaluation work. So we take some of the effort out of that for you. You can see that just by making sure that we only searched for peer-reviewed things, we ended up cutting it by 2/3. So now we're down to 1 million different articles. That's still too many. We want to keep narrowing it down. With vaccines, again, you want it to be fairly current, so I'm just going to go ahead and type in 2015. You can also use the little slider here, but this way we're looking at stuff that's been printed in the last 4 years or so, and now you can see that we're really starting to narrow it down. We're down to 343,000. Along this sidebar here, you can see a lot of different things. You can make sure that you're including the types of results that you want. You can filter it by subject. If you're having a hard time finding things with the search term you're using, oftentimes these subjects that are related will be another search term that you could use. So you might try vaccination, or you might try immunization if you're having a hard time with just the word vaccines. We're not going to have trouble with that today, but that is something to keep in mind. This subject heading can really help you. You can also filter by publisher. This will tell you, like if for some reason you wanted to figure out which search just Public Library of Science or Biomed Central, you could do that. You can filter by a specific publication. You can see that Vaccine Magazine has 15,000 articles there and so forth. If, like me, you only speak English, you could narrow it down to English language articles. which we'll just go ahead and do. But if you speak multiple languages or you need something that you knew it was this Russian article you had there. So you can see that we're just continuing to narrow down the search. We started pretty broad. There's all these different ways we can bring it out. You can filter by geography, say you only wanted stuff that was from the United States, or by database. So those are different ways you can filter it down. You can see now that we're down to roughly 335,000. And now I'm just going to start narrowing it down with my terms as well. So we want the ethics of vaccination. So I'm just going to start with typing in ethics here. And you can see ethics in nursing, ethical issues or concerns or ethical dilemmas. Like, you can search these things here. And you can notice here this says ethics or ethical issue or ethical concerns or ethical dilemmas. There's a difference between and or here, like vaccines. So this is going to search for anything that has vaccines and ethics in it. I could put vaccines and ethics, or ethical dilemma, like they said, and we could find some things. So I'm just going to go ahead with this initial one here, vaccines and ethics. When I click here, you'll notice that it's going to cut it down quite a bit more. We're down to 71,000 articles. At this point, I might actually start looking around to see if there's anything interesting that would actually work for the thing. If I wanted to narrow it down further, I might even type in measles, something like that. But I think you get the idea. You're starting broad and you're narrowing down your topic bit by bit using the refine results sidebar and using extra terms. And as you type them in, you can see you'll see alternate words you can use. So let's take a look at this top. Let's take a look at this perspectives of public health nurses on the ethics of mandated vaccine education. This looks like it might actually work really well with what we want. So I just want to kind of give you just a tour of this full item record page here that will just kind of, so this way once you find an article, you'll know what to do with it. So the first thing you're going to see is it gives you the title and it highlights the terms that you searched. It'll give you the authors. Again, this is a great way. You can check out the authors and see what their credentials are and so on and so forth. It'll tell you like where they're from. It'll tell you the source. We know that this is a peer-reviewed journal because we made sure to filter out anything that was not a peer-reviewed journal. It gives you other keywords. Again, this is a very helpful thing if you're having a hard time narrowing down your search and finding something. Just keep searching different keywords. And then it gives you an abstract. Sometimes this will be called a summary. Sometimes this will be called something else. But essentially what it is, it's a specific type of summary that gives you the problem that the authors were talking about, the methodology by which they examined it, and then what their results were. And reading the abstract is often going to help you know whether or not you actually need to read the whole article. Sometimes you can tell just based on the abstract that this is not going to help you and you can reject it. In this case, we'll just assume that it actually did help. So a few things that you need to know from this site here. Don't ever just give yourself this link here. And think you can get back to it. What that link does is links to a search that really technically doesn't exist anymore. So you won't be able to come back there. What you want is this thing called a permalink. And what this will do is it'll give you a link that you could email to yourself or to someone else who is a student. And what that will do is it will take you through the process and you'll have to authenticate just like we did earlier on the to actually look into the databases here. Another thing you could email it to yourself. You could upload it to your Google Drive. Here is a very helpful one. You can click Cite because you are going to have to cite all of your sources in your papers. Now, this is very important. Depending on the discipline, you're going to have a different citation format, but you have to attribute all your work to the proper people. And the number one reason people get honor violated here at the Citadel is plagiarism. So make sure that you're doing this. So let's say you're looking at AMA, American Medical Association. You can copy this out, and that will help you in your process. Now the problem is this is a computer generated citation. So you want to make sure that you check that before you do it. I usually use Purdue OWL, which is Purdue has a great online writing lab that does a lot of work that in just showing you how to cite your sources. So I would go find their AMA source and check it against that just to make sure, because it is a computer generated thing. The capitalization may be off or something like that, but this is going to save you a lot of time. The other things you want to know is where is the actual article. That's going to be over here. It'll say either linked full text or PDF full text. As long as you have clicked the full text thing earlier. So I'm going to click linked full text, and this is going to take me to the database that actually has the article. Now, if this is an article that's provided by this group EBSCO that's doing the search, there'll be a PDF link here, and you can just download the PDF from right there. But this is going to take me to Science Direct, and you can see that I can download the PDF, and it looks like they actually have the whole article that you could read here as well. One other thing I'll show you that's really helpful is if you find an article that really works for you, just like you have to cite your sources like I told you, they have to cite their sources. So you can look here and they will give you a lot of other sources. You can go through and see if there is an article that helped them. It may actually help you. If you saw a good quote from an article in there, you might try that. So remember, you're starting out fairly broad. You're trying to narrow down your topic using different terms and using the tools that are in the sidebar. Once you get there, you have this. You'll have your article, and I hope that this helps you. And really, honestly, the biggest thing is just don't hesitate to contact us for help. You can come into the library whenever we're open if you're close enough to campus to do so, or you can email us at reference@citadel.edu, and we will be more than happy to actually help you with your research. Please take advantage of us.